got the partial plan for life in there. And I'll give it back to you. I'll have hard copies of answer keys, exam 1, exam 2. I've got electronic copies up there. If you want to, you can take it, check everything, but as far as like checking whether things are graded right on exam 1, exam 2, make sure you do it in the lab. After you leave the lab, you can't come back to me later and say, oh, I got this right. You have to understand that people lie to you. Not most people, a significant portion of people lie to me all the time. And by making you do it in the lab, that doesn't put me in a position where I have to judge whether you're telling the truth or not. And that's what we're going to be doing in lab. Study guide for the final. I didn't have hard copies because I finished it just before class. But this is it. The TAs will be given a review session if you want, and I'm gonna ask you some questions about when you'd want it in the clicker questions. Here's how it works. This study guide is just like the other stuff. The final exam is May 3rd to Friday, 10 to 11:50 a.m. The length of the test is basically maybe a little shorter than exam 1 and exam 2 because it's only multiple choice questions. And so it's not cumulative. It's a regular exam. It counts just as much as the other ones unless your attendance is low. And the study guide is, just like all the other ones where I have sections and I tell you up here it says multiple choice questions. Most of them are worth 1 point, but some of them are worth more than 1 point. As always, you can use a 3-inch by 5-inch cheat sheet, one side only. And here, I tell you, like number 1, they're all multiple choice, all right. I tell you where it came from. This is this article, and if you haven't really been much on the online textbook, then some of these words may seem a little weird to you. Markets, not article. Make sure, let me show you what we mean. The Markets TV article.
Are these not linked this time?
No, they're not linked. But it's very easy to find this stuff. So you look here, number 1, it says Markets TV. And you look for a chapter that starts with Markets. There you go. You click on it. And here's Markets TV right there. These Markets in tunnel vision. And it also tells you that the question was pulled off homework 14, worth 1 point. And so it does tell you there's like, I think 1 question worth 3 points on there.
Are you going to have the homework stuff for you on the side?
They are up. They are up. And let me give you an example of where they are. Okay, so in the Markets and Tunnel Vision, you go to that article and there's a link for the homework questions. And there it prints out the D2L homework with the answers. The errors tell you what the answers are. And if that's not up for everything, it was a mistake on my part. I checked them. I think they're all up. I'm sure you'll tell me. So if it ever says homework something up there, then those things are up. In demand elasticity, this tells you S&D, point 3, point C worksheets. And so that, just look at that and then I'll be exactly clear where to go get that. But again, you just look at the stuff that's at first. It says S&D, that means on the online textbook you look for something that says S&D, and there it is, supply and demand. Point 3, point C, and you find S&D, point 3, point C, and there's the worksheet. Right there. That's the one we did in class. Now notice here it says clicker questions. That means I took the questions off the clicker questions from that chapter. And when you go there, S&D, point 3, point C, worksheet on supply and demand with elasticities, and then it's got a link for the clicker questions. Where it pulls up and it shows you all the questions and it shows you the answers. then some of them, like long run, supply and demand, it'll have homework 18, and it'll have Clicker questions, and it'll have question banks. All three of those things, homework 18, Clicker questions, and question bank, are at the LRS&D article right there, you can pull down. And if it says 3 locations, that means that the question, the number 22, was probably on all 3 of those sources. I think this is the only one worth more than 1 point. Production decisions, 5.1 worksheet. That was the, I'll just show it to you. Looking for the source, prod right here. One worksheet. And that. And so in that question, you do have to fill out a table like this, but you give me the answer in the form of a multiple choice question. And so because you have to fill out a table and that takes you longer, that's why I'm awarding 3 points. And like for the 3 stages of production, I think we did a clicker thing on that. I hadn't added. When I go and if I put anything extra, I always put it in red. Now the Great Recession, this stuff is up there. That's what we did last time. So there's one question up. I told you which question that was on Monday. There's a thing on behavioral economics. That's what you're going to do Friday. Come to class. You'll be given the questions and we'll tell you which one is going to be on the exam along with the answer. And then the points for the recent lab stuff. Remember I told you if you turned in all your stuff for a lab, it would count a significant portion of your grade. And so if you turned in A, B, C, and D for those labs, and we'll know whether you did it or not because it'll be in your folder, then you get 5 points out of it. If you get your folder and it's not in, we may be able to work something out where you can still get it in. You just automatically awarded 5 points by turning sections A through D in. Was that your question? Yeah. Yes. And it does say at the top, although everything is a multiple choice question, you will have to do calculations on it. You saw that table of production where you've got to do calculations. You also have to do, like, there's demand elasticity, I give you elasticity, price rises up 2%. So lots of things we have to do, math, using a calculator. You can use any calculator, your smartphone. Just don't, and you know we watch, you just don't make seem like you're reading on your smartphone. Press cheat, you don't do that. Now, as far as what you know, it's the same as every test. So what do you need to do well on this? Now, this is what students who do well on exams do. They go to these sources, they find these questions, they make sure they understand the question and answer, and then they think about, and if there's something that they didn't know, they might write it down and revisit it later. You look at these questions and you say, is there any way I could ask it differently? And think about how the question might be asked differently and how you would answer it. What a lot of good students will tell you, and this is what I always did when I studied, you start off and there's a group of stuff that you know that's going to be on the final, the material that you know, and there's stuff you don't know that you need to learn while you're studying. Now, I would always take all the stuff that I didn't know, and I would write everything down. I would have pages of notes on it. And just the mere act of writing something down really helps you learn it. And then I would take that, and I probably, after writing it down, would then know at least half of it. And then I write a new set of notes, a more condensed version, containing that smaller material that I didn't know. And I keep doing that over and over until the only stuff that I can't remember, that I don't know off the top of my head, is everything you can put on your cheat sheet. It takes time, but that's what studying is. You got to study for that. The mistake I think is easy to make is to, I know it can be hard to focus sometimes. And it could be very easy to talk yourself into believing that you know the material. For instance, suppose you go to homework 15, you look at the questions, you look at the answers, and you say, okay, that makes sense, I'm done with that. That's the wrong way to study. Because what you just did is you looked at questions and you looked at answers that seemed to go together, and you convinced yourself that you knew it, where if I took that paper and then gave you those questions right in front of you without the answer, you probably wouldn't be able to answer. If you want to do well, you need to focus, make yourself study all of it, and do not let yourself talk. Do not talk yourself into believing that you already know everything within your first 20 minutes of study. This is stuff you probably know. Anything else? Anything else I need to tell you about the test? We don't know the review session times or dates yet. We're going to ask you about that in a minute. When we do, we'll probably know by Friday. I'll either let you know Friday, and regardless of whether I let you know Friday, you know it'll be up there on the announcement. See that cat? That cat is at my house right now. And I've got a deal for you. The cat will live if you give me good course evaluations.
I don't like cats. Sounds like you're about to have to.
That looks like you got a lot of personality.
Please know that I'm kidding. Do not alert the dean. All is well. I will cry if I hurt a kitten. What we do have now is evaluations. Now listen to me, this is kind of important. Evaluations mean a lot in Kastner. I have a friend who started school here at OSU the same year I did in 2003. And her first week of school, her boss told her, when it comes to tenure, we don't care about teacher evaluations. We're probably never going to read them. So they were telling her right away, concentrate only on research. Here, all my bosses read all evaluations. It's the same for all professors. And it's not only important to my bosses, it's important for me too. I especially like hear what you write in your own handwriting on the back of the stamp. Certainly the stuff you vote in is very important to me, but I like hearing from you. I like hearing from the things you liked about the class, you liked about me, and the things you didn't like about the class and you didn't like about me. So I plead with you, even if it's just a little, please write something on the back of it. I read them, I will read every single one of them very carefully. They mean a lot to me. And I especially want some of your feedback on the clickers. Here's in hindsight, here's my view of the clickers. They are really good in one way. It's really helped a lot of your grades. I'm able to reward simply showing up to being in a seat. And so it's good for students. It's a very convenient. I could only do this if it was convenient. I can't spend an hour a day, going through a list and going through a computer and entering in who's here. The only way I can reward you for attendance is if we do it through clickers, and it's convenient. The thing I don't like about it is that it caused me to have a lot of just unpleasant encounters with you. Because I can't have a line of 10 students after every class write who didn't bring their clicker, manually enter the spreadsheet. It just makes it not worth doing for me. And so I have a key, even though I would say many times in announcements, you have to do clickers to get rewarded. Students still ask, and I hate telling students no. And I hate those unpleasant encounters. So in one way, I didn't like that because it made me have unpleasant encounters with students. Whereas if I didn't do clickers, less students would just show up to class and we wouldn't have that unpleasant encounter. So that's the trade-off. So I do want to know what you think about the clickers. Think about how they rewarded you for your grade. Think about whether you trust the clicker system. Think about how you like how I handle the clickers, and give me feedback on that. I'm not sure.